You are standing in the kitchen, nothing buzzes, nothing rings, no message appears, and somehow your phone is already in your hand. You unlock it, check the same apps you checked 2 minutes ago, find nothing, lock it, and then reach for it again before your brain can explain why. In today's episode of Humanly Weird, we are answering one strangely familiar question. Why do you keep checking your phone for no reason? The easy answer is that you have no self-control, or that your phone has turned you into a dopamine goblin. Funny, simple, also incomplete. The deeper answer is that your brain has learned a shortcut. A tiny moment of boredom, stress, uncertainty, or awkward silence appears, and your hand already knows where relief might be hiding. By the end, you will understand how that checking loop forms, why it continues even without notifications, and how to interrupt it without throwing your phone into a lake. Researchers noticed this pattern early in the smartphone era. In a 2012 paper called Habits Make Smartphone Use More Pervasive, Oulasvirta and his colleagues described a checking habit. Brief, repeated inspections of changing information that is easy to reach. Messages, news, weather, likes, email. One quick check can quietly turn into several more activities. The researchers also found that people often experience the behavior as annoying, not necessarily as a full addiction. That means you may not truly want the phone. Your hand may simply know the route. Picture Humi at his desk. One buzz brings a nice message. The next brings spam, then a funny video, then nothing. The phone becomes a mystery box. Every check might contain connection, novelty, relief, or an email beginning with "just following up." This is where people shout dopamine and stop thinking. Dopamine matters, but it is not simply a pleasure chemical attacking you whenever you see a red badge. It helps the brain learn what predicts important outcomes. In a famous 2003 study, Christopher Fiorillo, Tobler, and Wolfram Schultz found that dopamine neurons responded to reward probability and uncertainty. That experiment involved animals, not smartphones, so it does not prove that every app check works exactly the same way. But it helps explain why unpredictable outcomes can become powerful teachers. Your phone sometimes gives you something useful and sometimes gives you nothing. The reward is not only what appears, it is the feeling that something might appear. But that is not the weirdest part. Eventually, the phone does not need to buzz. The cue can be the end of a sentence, a red light, an elevator, a difficult paragraph, waiting for food, getting into bed, sitting on the toilet and accidentally beginning a 20-minute documentary about a stranger rebuilding a sink. The situation itself starts the routine. See, reach, unlock, check, tiny relief, repeat, and sometimes you are not checking for information. You are checking to change your mood. Bored? Nervous about starting work? A 2026 14-day diary study led by Huiling Zhou found that daily boredom, stress, and loneliness were especially useful for predicting problematic phone use. The phone becomes a tiny emotional service station, open all day. No appointment needed. Notifications strengthen the loop because they train your attention to treat the device as urgent. In a Florida State University experiment, Carrie Stothart, Ainsley Mitchum, and Courtney Yenert found that phone notifications disrupted performance on an attention-demanding task even when participants did not touch the phone. The alert alone could trigger unrelated thoughts and mind wandering. Your brain hears one buzz and asks, was that family, work, money, an emergency? Or perhaps a game informing you that your imaginary carrots are ready. You do not know until you look, so ignoring it feels like unfinished business. Now the habit starts stealing something more valuable than minutes. It breaks attention into crumbs. In a 7-day diary study using objective phone data, Hartanto and colleagues found that checking frequency, not total screen time, predicted more daily cognitive failures within the same person. Those included losing focus, forgetting what you were doing, or making small mental slips. Two people might both use a phone for 3 hours. One watches a movie and makes a long call. The other interrupts the day with 100 tiny checks, same total time, very different pattern. So no, one phone glance does not destroy your brain. The problem is the repeated switch away from whatever you were trying to do. Before we turn the phone into a cartoon villain, here is the correction. Phones are useful. Not every glance is harmful. A 2026 experiment by Barak Yildirim and Jan Rummel found that brief smartphone use during breaks did not worsen performance on the next cognitive task compared with sitting quietly, and participants reported a more positive mood after the phone break. The real problem is not touching a phone, it is losing the choice. When Humi intentionally checks one message, that is a tool. When Humi opens 5 apps without remembering why, that is a habit driving the car. So, how do you get the steering wheel back? First, catch the cue. For one day, notice what happens immediately before the check. Boredom, stress. Turn off alerts that do not represent real people or real urgency. Remove distracting apps from the home screen. Put the phone behind you, inside a bag, or across the room during focused work. A 2-week experiment by Kostadin Kushlev, Jason Pruill, and Elizabeth Dunn found that people reported more inattention and hyperactivity-like symptoms during a week when phone interruptions were maximized than during a week when alerts were reduced and phones were kept away. The researchers did not claim phones cause ADHD. They showed that constant interruptions can temporarily make attention feel more scattered. Finally, replace the job the phone was doing. If you are bored, stand up, stretch, or doodle for 30 seconds. If you are stressed, identify the next tiny action instead of opening a feed. If you are lonely, send one real message instead of refreshing silently. Ask yourself, what am I hoping will be on this phone? A reply, relief, something easier than the task in front of you. Once you know the reward you are seeking, the habit stops looking random. Your hand is not broken. Your brain is not stupid. It learned that one small object can quickly change your information, mood, and social world. The strange part is how often the behavior continues after the original reason disappears. So the next time you unlock your phone and stare at the same empty screen, pause for 1 second. You are watching a habit arrive slightly ahead of conscious thought. Ask what triggered it, then decide whether you actually want what comes next. Now tell me this, when do you check your phone most? When you wake up, while working, while eating, while waiting, or in bed? Send this to the friend who opens their phone, forgets why, and returns 20 minutes later knowing everything about a stranger's kitchen renovation. And subscribe to Humanly Weird, where simple Humi doodles investigate the modern habits our ancient brains were never asked to manage. Your phone is smart, your habits are faster, and humans are still wonderfully weird.